There's a pressure to get it right from the beginning, to not make the mistakes that you've made before. But do you afford yourself the grace that you give to others? Or do you make yourself play by a different set of rules? Let's talk acceptance and survival on today's Dear Single Women's podcast. Hello, ladies. Welcome to another week of the Dear Single Women's podcast. I'm very happy to be with you. I'm your host, Shanintra. This podcast is for single women who are healing, growing, living, and loving their lives on their terms. Please follow the podcast. Please subscribe. Please give me 5 stars if you think I deserve it. Please support, share with a friend. I am doing this for us to build community, for us to build a space for single women where I think there is not yet one that exists. And so I would greatly appreciate your support, your time, your ears, all of it. I thank you. Thank you for listening in. So today we're going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to try to make it into one cohesive topic, but we'll see how this goes. I just noticed that I feel like single women are judged very harshly, especially single women of a certain age. I hear phrases like, you accept the love that you think you deserve, or things like you teach them how to love you. And if they're not loving you the way you deserve, it's because you've taught them that you don't love yourself. I want to reframe some of that because it's just very negative. It's very accusatory and almost makes you feel worse about either a mistake you've made, a mistake you're making, a mistake you're going to make in the future. There's a sense of perfectionism that's placed on the single woman that I just don't know that other people are judged in that same way. I don't even know if we judge others in that way that we sometimes judge ourselves. And so I want to work through that with you today, if that's where you are, or if that's where you may end up, if that's where you've been. I'm sure everyone fits into one of those 3 categories. So I want to spend some time talking about that with you today. One thing we know about human nature is that human beings are about survival. What we accept in our lives is not always what we want. I don't believe that you always accept the love you think you deserve. If you're healing and self-aware, you know that you deserve better. But we also know that isolation and loneliness and those experiences, those emotions can be as difficult as anything you can ask someone to deal with. And so knowing that you deserve better doesn't always mean that you won't do what you have to do to survive. People give up because they're lonely. People give up because they're sad. People give up on hope because they're not getting what they know they deserve. So I don't think you always accept the love you think you deserve as much as you're accepting what you can get at the time, because it's going to get you through another day. And sometimes as a single woman, it can get to that point where you accept just enough to get you through another day. Now, there are different phases of singleness. I talk about it all the time. If you're in a committed relationship, if you're not in a committed relationship, you've had to accept things that maybe you wouldn't willingly accept if not for your circumstance in your life. And so I think the only point I'm trying to make is Survival and what you're willing to accept is human nature. It doesn't have anything to do with your marital status. Everyone's accepting something. No one's partner is perfect. If you don't have a partner, you're accepting something to get your needs met. If you do have a partner, you're probably still accepting something to get your needs met. If you need to eat, you're going to work that job that you don't like. Are you accepting the job you think you deserve, or are you just trying to eat another day? I think we accept in a lot of places and in a lot of ways, and we have to acknowledge, I think just overall, we all have to acknowledge that there's a bit of primal survival instinct in that. And so give yourself the grace that you would give to anybody else. I don't want you to stay there, but I don't think we spend enough time acknowledging that aspect to singlehood, to any relationship, that there is a need to survive. And one thing you may have noticed about this podcast is I like to have the conversations that people don't feel comfortable having. I like to say the things that people think in their head, but they won't say out loud. What I've gone through in my life has given me a unique voice of speaking out loud and boldly about tough circumstances. I've learned to not live in the shadows as someone who's lived in the shadows for most of her life. And so I'm going to say those things that no one really wants to say. If you need companionship and you're not getting it, you'll wind up compromising. You'll wind up settling for less than what you deserve. So you're not accepting the love you think you deserve. You know you deserve better, but if you're not getting it, there's that instinct of survival that kicks in. No one wants to live on an island by themselves. No one wants to be alone. And there are periods where you are going to have to stay there and you are going to have to be alone. But there does come a time when enough is enough, as they say. And, you maybe don't make the best choices in that aspect of things. But again, that's no different from anybody working a job they hate, staying with a partner that doesn't satisfy them and meet their needs, someone who doesn't love them like they deserve to be, but they're thinking practically, financially. Wasn't it Tina Turner who said, "What's love got to do with it?" It's no different for you. But we put this sense of like, I have to get this right out the gate, because I think we place a lot of emphasis on the mates and what it means for our future. I'm thinking of a lot of things in my future and children, and what is he gonna be like as a father, and will I be able to give my child the home that I want them to have with this individual? There's a lot that goes into it. And so because of that, I think there's a sense of perfectionism that we put on ourselves, that we have to get this correct because we're not going to have our children suffer. And there's truth to that. There's totally truth to that. But you can't deny the aspect of, I need something right now. I understand this is really one of the most important decisions I'll make as a woman. Who am I going to allow into my space? Who am I going to procreate with? Who am I going to entrust my body, my womb, my heart, my future, my children's future into? Who am I going to put that kind of investment into, right? Because let's be real, there are a lot more single mothers than you do see single fathers. We have to be careful in a way that I really think it should be equal, but we know how it goes. So I think because of those thoughts and some of those things, we want to get it right out the gate, but we deny the side that of where we are right now. That may not be Mr. Right, but he could be meeting a need that I have right now. And survival, many people are not going to delay and put off their need of today for something that will benefit them 10 years from now, 5 years from now. I'm just speaking reality. Do I want you to go out and have a situationship? No. Do I want you to go out and, do whatever you need to do to meet whatever need it is you have? I'm not just talking sexually in any way. I have a need to feel connected, to feel welcomed, to feel loved. I have a need to feel physical touch, but not even talking about sex in that regard. I have a need to feel a hug, have someone hold my hand, like those real tangible things. I, as a heterosexual woman who has spoken to many heterosexual women and is friends with many heterosexual women, I love the way my friend always says it. She's like, it's always women. It's always women. I don't want to go to this event and it'll be around a bunch of women. And I just love that honesty. I love that level of honesty. It's not an easy journey. You're trying to think about your future, especially if you still want to have children and build a legacy. And if that's still where you are, you're almost living in between two worlds of the right now and the not yet. It's very hard. And I want you to give yourself that grace in a way that you might give to somebody else who's in between two worlds. You're in between two worlds, whether you realize it or not. Hopefully this episode has made you realize that, but you are. And so you gotta live for the future while also living for the day-to-day. So just know that as you're navigating two worlds, you're not always going to accept the love you think you deserve. Sometimes you're just going to accept enough to get you through today. Because human beings are about survival. And just know that you have to give yourself a level of grace, because you do want to get it right. There is a lot riding on it, on your choices that you make. Absolutely. I've seen it in my own life. It changes the trajectory of everything. Just the mate you choose changes so much. It impacts so much. So yes, and yes. These are all very serious things, and we must be thoughtful. We must be careful. But understand that you are a person today. And you also have to live for where you are right now. All right, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Real talk over here. Please share with someone that you think would benefit from this. And I look forward to talking to you next Monday. We have a lot more things to chat about, and I hope you join me then. I'll see you next time.